Hello, my name is Serge. I'm a teacher of English and a director of 2 language schools here in Kharkiv. I love teaching the language. Actually, I love the language and I want everybody to know it and to speak it, to use it, and to have it as part of their lives. And now in this video, I want to share with you the most effective, the best way to learn the language and to make sure you do not lose it, you do not forget it. And before I tell you this, I want you to know who will be telling you all of this stuff, who I am and what gives me the right to tell you that. Well, I started teaching English back in 1995. It's been 21 years now, and I've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of students. They were businessmen or managers or kids and fathers, mothers, grandmas, millionaires, they're lovers, bankers, anyone, lots of different kinds of students and people of all levels, from beginner to proficiency. I've taught them English because they needed to get ready for the exam or interview or just learn to speak in their job or for immigration. Yeah, some of them have already left the country and they're living happy lives in Canada, Australia, and other English-speaking countries. And I've done lots of English teaching in my life. I've been very innovative in the way that I've been teaching English. It's not just I started teaching one way and did only this throughout all my life and career. No, I've been practicing and experimenting a lot with different language approaches, and I've developed my own audio course. I have also trained up to 100 English teachers. I found them, selected them, and taught them to teach the language and to do it well, to do it effectively, and they themselves had thousands and thousands of their own students. So all of this experience, all this expertise that I have just mentioned, it allows me to, gives me the confidence and the right to tell you and to believe that what I'm going to tell you is actually useful and true. So all of this experience and expertise that I have just told you about, it all gives me the right to share with you the information that I'm about to share. It gives me the confidence that everything that I'm going to tell you is actually true. You may know some of this stuff or may not know some of it, but unfortunately I've seen that many people make mistakes in their language studies. They do things wrong, and as a result they have poor result. They don't get what they want, or they get it with a lower quality than they wanted to. And I know how to avoid that, how to make sure it does not happen. And that's why in this video I will first focus on the 7 most popular mistakes that students make when learning the language. And if you avoid these mistakes, if you do the opposite to that, you're gonna be successful. And mistake number 1 is students rely too much on the teacher. They rely too much on the school or the textbook or on some technique or approach they have bought. They think that this thing should do the magic for them. They paid the money and they come to the class, they open their brain and they just get their brains massaged by the specialist who they're paying. And they're kind of expecting to have this result without much investment of their own work. And that's not right? You're not going to get there. You're not going to lose weight, for example, if you do not do the running yourself. If your coach does the running, if your instructor does the running, the instructor will lose weight, not you. So what does that mean? It means that you should take responsibility for what you're doing and understand that your result, the end product that you get in learning the language, is just a consequence of your own effort, of your own hard work that you invest in it, that you perform, that you make. And it's your problem, it's your goal, it's your life, and you should be responsible for it. Mistake number 2, people really want to focus on the language itself and to understand how it works, to know the principles, the rules behind it. They analyze it and they want to remember it, and they're really preoccupied with all this studying stuff, and they underestimate the importance and the power of their subconsciousness. because really knowing the language is to know the language means to intuitively feel it. Because really, to know the language means to intuitively feel it, like to have it in your guts, right, in your subconsciousness, this information. And because when you speak, when you open your mouth, it's not your brain that is speaking, it's not your mind, it's not the information from here that is being communicated to the listener, no. It's from the inside, somewhere from your subconsciousness that somebody inside of you starts speaking. And this somebody inside of you should know how to say things. And how do you make sure that this person inside of you knows? Well, you feed your subconsciousness. You have to trust that you can learn the language without analyzing it with your brain. How do you do it? Well, very, very simple. You know it. You just read a lot without analyzing what you're reading. You watch a lot without analyzing why he said that, what does that mean, but understanding from the context. And you know, there's a magic. You read a book, you find many words in the book that you don't know, but because you understand the idea, like the plot, you follow the plot, you end up learning certain words by the end of the book. You end up learning certain words that you did not know before. And you never use dictionary. You kind of learned them from the context, and you know them. Anybody can learn from the environment, not only kids. Like, all you have to do is deal with the language, and your subconsciousness will take care of the learning process. That's magic, and you should believe in it, and you should practice it. And you should not make the mistake of trying to understand everything and analyze everything. It's not gonna work, it's not gonna help. Third mistake. People believe in error correction. They really want to have all of their mistakes, or as many mistakes as possible, corrected. If the teacher corrects, then I learn. If the teacher does not correct, I don't learn. That's the mentality they have, and it's kind of true for elementary students, or maybe even like true for elementary students, and kind of true, but not really true for pre-intermediates, and especially not for intermediates. Because like, I've done it a million times. I've corrected my students a million times, and I had the same mistakes, or I saw the same mistakes later. They did not become better just because I corrected that mistake, or just because we learned that topic once again. They continued speaking, making the same mistake quite often, quite regularly. I'm helpless as a teacher to eradicate those mistakes. But what did work for them, and what helped them get rid of those mistakes, was when they started dealing with the language that was harder for them, that was more complicated, more sophisticated, like harder words and phrases and topics, and they had to make an effort when learning that, when expressing themselves in that. And what happened was that the mistakes that they used to make, and those little, small, easy things and simple language, they disappeared. Because people had other problems to be talking about, to be thinking about, to be bothered by, right? Other problems, like more serious stuff. So you kind of eradicate one problem by getting yourself a bigger one, right? And that means that error correction helps, but this is not the remedy for all the problems. Like, you should not believe in it too much. You learn, you develop through increasing the complexity of the language that you're dealing with, and not through correcting every mistake that you make. Mistake number 4. People believe in individual lessons. They think somebody told them, I don't know who, lied to them, that individual lessons are more effective than group lessons. They are ready to pay more just to get better quality. No. I've been a teacher for 21 years. I'm telling you, group lessons are more effective if you have a group of people who are working together, who are doing homework, who are a team, and they get and achieve more than one individual student. Why? Well, first of all, most of all, it's because of the energy that other people produce. And when you are in this energy, you get the motivation and the inspiration to study. It's more fun, it's more interesting, it's more dynamic, you're more active because you can do more things in the group with other people. You can have more activities, more games. There are more ways in which you can practice the language. When you're one-on-one with the teacher, there are fewer things you can do with the person. It's harder to practice English in a variety of ways, really. So group lessons are really more effective because of this energy and because of the variety of activities that you can have, and because you can learn from other people's mistakes or from other people's success and the things that they do right or wrong. When you look at them, you actually understand, I could do that too, or I'm not going to do that, and you learn from that. The synergy of the group is actually a powerful thing. And individual lessons, they're really for people with special needs, with special abilities. Like I am more talented than the rest of the people, and it's hard for me to find a group. Or I'm slow, I need more time than regular people, and it's hard for me to find a group. That's why I study on my own, or like with a teacher. And individual lessons are for people who have their special goals. Like I will have an exam or an interview next month, and I don't want to spend time learning this or that. I want to focus on what I need. And yeah, individual lessons, they are for me. But if you are not one of those people, you just have to find a group of the people that you like to be with and enjoy the process. Have fun, learn the language, do the hard work. If you do the hard work of dealing with the language, trying to understand, remember, practice, say that, and things like this, you will grow. Even if you don't get all of your mistakes corrected, like I said, or even if you have to listen to other people when they're speaking, like it all works in your favor. It's all something that helps you develop because, also because you develop through working, not through getting your mistakes corrected or having some things explained to you by the teacher over and over again. Just because your teacher answers your questions doesn't mean that you will be able to speak better English. So getting experience is more important, and the group experience is of a higher quality than individual lesson experience. Mistake number 5. Students sometimes say, this word, this phrase, how am I going to use that? I don't see how. I've never heard it. I don't think that people speak like that. And this is terrible. This is something that kind of pisses me off and makes me a little bit irritated because it's impossible to know English, or any language for that matter, to be able to speak it freely and understand everything that people speak about, whatever it is that you read or watch, without having a huge, massive, passive vocabulary of words and phrases that you never use, that you hardly ever hear, but you know that. If you kind of scan your Russian knowledge, you will find thousands of words that you know and you never use, but if somebody ever uses them, like you understand them. And this passive vocabulary that you have, this passive knowledge, it creates the feeling of the language, this intuitive understanding of what is right, what is wrong, what sounds good, what sounds bad. And you can't be like a real good speaker of English if you don't have this passive vocabulary. It's important to know a lot for you to be able to use a little effectively. You can't just be able to talk about one topic and completely suck at another topic. It's wrong. You should be able to talk and actually understand the ideas from other topics. You should feel comfortable. It doesn't matter what the conference that you're attending will be devoted to. The topic of technology, fashion, politics, you should sit there and understand the language that people are using. You should feel comfortable. You should not be like, oh my God, what are they saying? I don't know. I never learned that. Why? Because I thought that language is something that I don't need. No, you have to be like a native speaker who dealt with all kinds of English, from Shakespeare to political news and legal language, and know everything and use as little as you want in your own vocabulary and then in your own speech. And then you'll feel comfortable, and then you will feel the language, and then you will you'll have a good result in your studies. Learn everything. Do not say I don't need it. I'm not gonna use it. you can prioritize. You can learn first the language that is important for you to use, and then something that you're gonna just remember for your passive vocabulary. That's okay. That's fun. So you have to learn everything, or otherwise you will just end up in some kind of linguistic ghetto where you're exposed to these topics, but you have no idea what they're talking about there because it's full of nigger slang that I never learned. Why? Because I'm never gonna use that. I'm not a nigger. I don't use slang, so I'm not gonna use that. I don't want to learn that, and I don't understand them now. So learn everything. Mistake number 6. People think of English as some kind of academic subject that they need to learn. It's like they come to a classroom, they have a textbook, they need a teacher, they need to do some exercises, get some practice, do some homework, and once it's done, they return to their everyday Russian life and Russian-speaking people and the Russian work and everything Russian, and there is no English there. Why? Because English is academic subject, right? You have to learn it, not to have it in your everyday life. That's the mentality that people have, and of course that's wrong. That's wrong. You have to have English as part of your life. And if you don't, your result in studying will be much worse. And to compensate for lack of English experience in their life, students often study for years, 2, 3, 4 years, because English classroom is their environment. They don't have enough English, enough communication in their everyday lives. Actually, it's possible to have enough of it even here in Kharkiv. But they don't do it. They don't create this atmosphere, this environment for their English, and as a result, they have to study a lot. And this is wrong because you have to study you have to limit your studies and learn some basic things that you need to know to feel comfortable about the language, and then just learn it through practicing it and through using it in everyday life, and not through continuous academic studying, because English is not a subject. It's an instrument, so you have to make sure you use it. One more thing, when people feel that their English is not perfect, that they need to kind of improve it, or that they've lost something and they want to regain that, they again turn back to the teacher. They say, please teach me. Or let's do that topic again. I want to be perfect in that. Let's study again. And it's because of this mentality. English is an academic subject, you need to study it. No. If you've learned this topic twice, 3 times, it's not going to become better just because you learn it 4th time. And very often you don't need a teacher. Actually, the whole idea of learning is to become independent. It's like when you're 35 and you don't have to live with your parents for them to provide for your needs with their money. No, you're old enough to take care of yourself, of your own needs, and earn your own money. Yeah, you need to be able to take care of your own English. So when you have a problem, you don't turn to a teacher, but just turn to creating the environment in which you can improve your English without the teacher, because English is an instrument, not an academic subject. And you start watching, reading, communicating, and it may be hard to create this environment, but it's not impossible. And mistake number 7, which is more like a bad result that people get once they have learned the language. Once again, the problem is they build a house, they invest in it, and they say, we're going to live in it years later, and years later they return to the house and it's gone. It's been destroyed. There is no house. Does anybody ever do that? No. You would never invest in a house and not live in it if you know that it's going to go. But that's what happens to English students. They learn the language and they say, okay, maybe one day I will use it. And this one day comes and oops, they've lost everything. And all this investment has gone down the drain. This investment of money and time. And it's terrible. It's a real bummer, because it's also my work that I've invested in the person, and it's gone. The person forgets it. So you can't just get this instrument, English, put it on a shelf and use it years later when you need it. No. You have to start using it on an everyday basis in the environment of your life and your work. Because it's an instrument, it's not a subject, it's not information, it's a skill which you can easily lose, and you should not, because it's effectiveness of your effort, and you should make sure that there is environment of books and movies and radio and music and native speakers and friends who communicate in English in your life. And you have contact with it not because you kind of need that, okay, it's important for me to make sure that I don't lose my language. No, you do it because there is love inside of you, love for the fun that the English content can give you, for the pleasure that the English content can give you. And you seek this pleasure. You love the entertainment that you get from English content, from the movies, from people that you communicate with, and you seek it and you find it, and you get the motivation to do it because it's fun, not because it's a hard work that you have to do. So it's the most important thing to love communicating with the ideas, with the people, sharing this information and energy in English, because English world has some ideas and information and energy and emotions that Russian language doesn't have, or Russian world doesn't have. Because these are different parts of human personality, of human beings. And our world is bigger when we know second language, when we know third language. So we just need to have that English world in our life and live it and use it. And this way we will not forget it. But the beginning of it is a love for it, and seeking pleasure in dealing with it. So, do you want to know English? Do you want to speak it? Use these effective ways to learn the language that I've told you about. And do not repeat the mistakes that I've told you about. And once again, here they are. Number one, be active and responsible for your studies. It's your job, it's your life, do it. Nobody else will do it for you. They can help you, but it's your job. Number two, feed your subconsciousness, because that's where English happens. That's where communication starts. Read, watch, listen, focus on ideas, not on the language and analysis of the language. Number three, do not be hung up on error correction. Like, it's okay, it's all right, but it's not the most important thing. It's working with hard language that makes you develop, makes you grow, not error correction. Number four, try to learn the language with other people, with fellow students. Learn from them, with them. Use their energy, their inspiration, inspire them. The synergy of the group is much more powerful than the energy of individual lessons. Number five, learn all of the language. Whatever the language, from Shakespeare to political language and economical and legal and everything. You need to know everything, whether you use it or not, and then you'll feel confident. Number six, build the environment for your English in your life and use it on an everyday basis. And do not study the language forever. Limit it and use it. And number seven, I would say, love what you do. Love this English part of life and seek pleasure in having contact with it. Don't do it because it's your work that you have to do, it's responsibility, but because there's fun in it. So these are the things that I want you to do or not to do. And you can take these ideas, whether you knew them or not, whether you practice that or not. You know, very often it happens that we know the right stuff, but we don't apply that. So please apply that. Take it and find a way to study the language. Find a teacher, find a school, find groups. And where you're gonna do it, well, it's your choice, it's up to you, I respect that, and I really want you to know the language wherever you're gonna study it. But now you have the information that will help you be more successful in your studies. So this will help you find a better school, because a good professional school or good professional teachers, they will tell you something like what I told you. And if you find somebody who says something otherwise, or even contrary to what I said, well, these are frauds, these are non-professionals, that's, you just have to kind of run away from there. That's not gonna work for you. Don't waste your time learning English with non-professionals. Don't do some bullshit exercises that do not develop skills but give you a lot of information about how the English works. So I just hope that the information that I've given you is going to be useful for you. You're going to use it, apply it in finding the school or in actual process of studying the language, and you'll be successful.